Hey guys, this is Elia, and my buddy Mr. Strife sent in his February Class Wars footage. This is the Archer Finals, and he's potting up here. Just a crazy tune, even unpotted, over 11 million BR with the kit on, and then once he's potted, he's closer to 12 million and has over 700k physical attack. So I think he's one of the highest BR. I think Trinity in my crossover section is close to his BR, or around there. And then somebody was saying there's someone on the East Coast servers that has 12 million BR. I'm gonna guess, I'll take a wild crack at it because I have no idea who that person is. I've never, nobody's shown me a screenshot yet. My guess is they're a knight and that they have a ton of HP. If I'm wrong about that, I think it's at least still somebody with a really, really big HP setup. I'd be highly surprised if they have raw BR that's high, that high. And so yeah, Strife has knighthood, so he has big tattoos. He has a ton of mount stats. I haven't heard of anybody else capping out the magic mount and having enough whips to fill up the magic mount, but he has. And then he also has some tattoo stats which are quite big. I have hit knighthood, so it's nice to sort of like watch somebody with all the knighthood stuff playing and get a feel for it. I was a little bit frustrated. I did do a little bit of PvP with the knighthood, but every time I tried to record it, I would I don't know, it'd be late at night or just something stupid would happen, and I would fall asleep and then let the recording go for 3 hours and it would crash at some point. So anyway, I'm trying to get some PvP footage with the knighthood stuff, but at least after this, it will be at least a couple of videos about, getting to knighthood and doing the multiplayer dungeons and that stuff. But just watching Strife here, when I was PvPing, I got hit with an amnesia and it was sort of nasty. I only had 4 skills on at the time, because for the mages and archers, there are 5 skills for each path of knighthood, and so if you don't put skill points into the last skill, which is a 100 Rage Delphic, then you're only left with 4, and you actually just want to double up one of them into one of the slots for the skills, because if you don't, you're much more subject to Amnesia Rune and you have fewer options, so it's better just to fill up the whole bar, and so that's something I picked up from watching Strife's video, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, players like Strife, he's very forthcoming with info to me, and same with folks like Chili, who also take an enormous amount of heat, or I guess really just hate from other players for how strong they are. But a lot of these players are just very open about, whatever they have and stuff, and are very helpful for the blog and things. So even if these players are giving you a lot of frustration as far as just having to face them and such, these are all people who have been very, very helpful to us. So I'm not really going to put up with any of the haters going off on Strife or about him. Those are just going to be deleted, and that's just how I feel about it. He's a very, very good buddy of mine, and I think some of the information that I've spread around for on the blog and stuff, some of the most useful of it has really been from Strife. He's helped me a lot, and he really sort of laid out resistances for me, really got me on the res reduction train, and I think that's something that's given me a huge PvP advantage for a long time, and so he was the first person that I talked to extensively who really seemed to have a good understanding of resistances, and even more recently, he was the person who sort of clued me into all of the Wind Ranger stuff, using the Wind Rangers in Dragon Invasion, and so for that, I'm very, very thankful, and I think other players should really appreciate that as well, even if they don't know it before. Now they do, and so yeah, he's wrecking face here. I'm sure it's not pleasant for his opponents, but anyway, I think at a certain point you just have to have a good laugh. Players like him, like Chili, like B, and anybody who's cashed probably in more recent history, like where the vast majority of their cashing has happened in probably the last year, are going to make bigger gains than the people who actually cashed earlier on and who have sort of tapered off. Sort of like myself, well, yeah, so I would say my peak caching was somewhere in the middle, but definitely not as much in recent history, and that's why I've fallen behind, whereas players like Strife and some of the others who have really pushed a lot of money later on have gained more, because there's so many more recharge events that give tons of bound balance, tons of rewards. You know, you get like stacked up like 3 different sets of rewards at least every time that you recharge, as long as you do it, you know, at the proper times. And so those really come in handy for the people who are, you know, able to and willing to invest in the game. So I think Strife is very full package as far as that goes. As the investment in Wartune, he's very diligent. I play on the test server with him, and he's always dragging me around to like every little like hippy dippy thing that will give us XP and rewards. You know, it's like totally unnatural to me, and I'm starting to need to do it on the main server. And I think being on the test server was good for me for a while, because I actually had to care about XP. Whereas like now on the main server, I didn't care about like getting XP at all. And now that I have knighthood, I'm like, oh god, I have to care about this again, and I feel like at least I have like some like decently good influence from playing on the test server with Strife. And so yeah, I mean, this footage just gave me a good laugh. I mean, I shouldn't laugh too much at these poor souls that are just getting their asses kicked, but I mean, at a certain point you just have to have a good laugh. There's really nothing you can do if you're not willing to match his investment and diligence. It's very hard to counter. He also was making me giggle so much because, you know, Mr. Strife is a reference to Cloud Strife, which is, you know, I assume that his favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy VII. And he's a big Final Fantasy fan, obviously, but he sent the footage over, and I downloaded it, and there was still audio connected to it, and so it was whatever music he was listening to while he was recording, and I was like, what on earth is this, like, you know, moody anime music? That's what it sounded like that he's listening to while he's just like absolutely wrecking Face in Class Wars. It doesn't sound like pump up music. If you want to know what I listen to during Class Wars, it's almost always like Beyonce, Pentatonics, or, I mean, well, yeah, that's probably up there. Maybe a little Taylor Swift, I don't know. But it's just not whatever the hell he was listening to. And so I just asked him, you know, like, what the hell is this music? And he's like, oh, it's the Final Fantasy soundtrack. And he was like, I don't know, he said it was like some special edition thing or whatever, but it was just, anyway, having a good giggle that he's hardcore Final Fantasy fan, to say the least. And this person, another somebody who's like caught on to just throw on a Guardian rune. Of course, that's like the first thing I would do if I were facing Strife, his Guardian rune. Strife adjusts a little bit for the people with Guardian runes. He'll still do the cluster bomb at the beginning, but then he'll use a basic attack, and then wait for the Guardian rune to deplete. I mean, the Guardian rune only has 2 turns, so there's only so long they can last. And I think this is the second to last fight up against Tyrus, something like that. And so this is the person who's been tied with him, actually ahead of him, because they were tied for wins. But this person, you know, has their kit on, so they're gonna have more BR than Strife. And so this is the person that's gonna get second place, and by the looks of it, they're gonna get 3-shot. Yeah, there you go. So 2.99, almost 3 million crit with that raid shot from full health, and that's what happens to the person in second place. So, and this last opponent has a 4-star Hecate, so I imagine he doesn't have quite enough HP to deal with Strife. So he gets 1 shot. And that's all she wrote. So Strife wins Class Wars. Obviously undefeated. It doesn't go into Sylph mode. Doesn't use more than I think the longest fight might have been that earlier one against Master Z. But I think every other fight he doesn't use more than like 3 skills. Maybe I think the most was 4. And yeah, that's what it's like to face Mr. Strife. Those poor souls. But anyway, there we are. Those are the rankings. Big congratulations to the other winners in his section, and to the folks who also placed well. Really, that's a competition for second and third in his section. But yeah, a big thanks again to Strife for sending in the footage. I know a lot of people have been sort of curious about him. He is somebody who I mention in the videos rather often because he is so helpful. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching. Take care and have a very good day.